Hola, ¿qué tal? Welcome to another episode of Bible Q&A. Today we're discussing, if David was an outlaw, why did God love him? What is an outlaw, in fact? An outlaw is either someone who is escaping law enforcement or someone who is no longer under the protection of the law. If a government declares someone an outlaw, that means that anyone can capture them or harm them. And often, the government rewards people for doing so and punishes people for not doing so. To Saul, David was clearly an outlaw under these definitions. Saul made David's status clear in 1 Samuel chapter 20 verses 30 to 31. He believed that David was a threat to the ruling government. He believed that he wanted to take the kingdom for himself. Thus, he considered David to be a traitor. Plus, in 1 Samuel chapter 22, when Saul found out that Ahimelech was harboring David, he ordered Doeg the Edomite to execute him and the priests of Nob. Clearly, there had been some sort of order that anyone who knew about David's whereabouts was required to report back to Saul. However, we should point out at this juncture that Saul was mad, according to 1 Samuel chapter 16 verse 14. He saw a threat to his reign when there wasn't any. David didn't even want to take over Saul's throne. He only became king because Samuel said he would, and even after Saul was slain, he asked God if he should return to his homeland in 2 Samuel chapter 2 verse 1. Someone who wanted to be king of a particular country probably wouldn't be so cautious about returning there. Plus, God didn't care if David was an outlaw. David believed in God and respected his institutions, like the sanctity of his king, even when his men did not, according to 1 Samuel chapter 26 verses 8 to 10, asking him to assassinate Saul. Meanwhile, in 1 Samuel chapter 13 verse 9, Saul couldn't even wait for Samuel to perform the sacrifice, under the pressure of his soldiers. Because David was able to resist societal pressure and Saul wasn't, God respected David rather than Saul, even though David was the outlaw and not Saul. Thus, God protected David on several occasions, like in 1 Samuel chapter 19 verses 20 to 24, when Saul's messengers fell into a trance after they tried to capture David, and in 1 Samuel chapter 23 verse 14, where we are simply told that God was keeping him out of Saul's grasp. David was clearly under the protection of the law of God, even if he wasn't under the protection of the Israelite government. The lesson of this story is that just as David didn't get a lot of support in his outlaw days, other than from other societal outcasts, according to 2 Samuel chapter 22 verse 2, Christians are not going to get a lot of support from society on their journey. After all, the road they walk on is a narrow one, according to Matthew chapter 7 verse 14. Because straight is the gate, and narrow is the way, which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. And if Christians want to criticize the problems of the society they live in, they will face pushback or simply get ignored. For example, Jesus' disciples would face imprisonment and beatings several times after Christ's ascension, which is why Christ warned them, "If ye were of the world would love his own. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you." John chapter 15 verse 19. Many authorities, like the Pharisees and Sadducees, did not like their message at all, because they preached that God would end their corrupt rule, according to verses like Matthew chapter 23 verse 38. The only way you can jump over those hurdles, be they people or institutions, is with the help of God, who will give you strength when others won't. As Moses told the Israelites, "Be strong and of a good courage, fear not, nor be afraid of them. For the Lord thy God, he it is that doth go with thee. He will not fail thee, nor forsake thee." Deuteronomy chapter 31 verse 6. And that is where I'm going to stop with this Bible Q&A. Why did God love the fugitive David? It was because he wasn't a fugitive at all, and he was only disobeying the law to fulfill God's purpose for him. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe.